Economy. It seems as if the rich are getting richer and the rest of us are struggling to survive. In the view of the recent meltdown of the economy, it's pretty obvious that the current systems are not working, but economists don't have a clue about which way to go to modify the existing and decidedly ineffective economic modalities, choosing solely from either the demand side or the supply-side model calling for government intervention and support. The two political parties of America are bogged down in this locked horn position with no solution in sight. Hi, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and this is Just Energy. Can we find a solution to this problem? Is there a way out of this economic meltdown? Today, to help us explore this topic, we'll be speaking with a good friend, Dr. Amit Goswami, the author of the book Quantum Economics. Amit Goswami is the author of the highly successful textbook Quantum Mechanics. His two-volume textbook for non-scientists, The Physicist's View of Nature, traces the decline and rediscovery of the concept of God within science. Amit has also written 8 popular books based on his research on quantum physics and consciousness. In his seminal book, The Self-Aware Universe, Goswami has also written 8 popular books based on his own research on quantum physics and consciousness. In his seminal book, The Self-Aware Universe, he solved the quantum measurement problem, elucidating the famous observer effect while paving the path to a new paradigm of science on the primacy of consciousness. He calls himself a quantum activist. He appeared in the film What the Bleep Do We Know? His webpage is www.quantumactivist.com. So please welcome Dr. Amit Goswami. Having you on the show again today. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. So, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, and today we're going to be talking about your book, Quantum Economics. But I want to start here. Now, you're a physicist. How does a physicist, and might I say, a very cool dude at that, find himself delving into the whole realm of economics?
Well, this is a very, very good question, of course. Quantum physics is a special kind of physics. It changes our worldview. So then the question arises, how does the new worldview apply to the society? Now, of course, it would be nice if an economist could understand the intricacies of the quantum worldview and apply it. But what happened in the actual case is that I was approached by an economist business person, president of the World Business Academy, Rinaldo Gutoko, who asked me to think about the economic problem, which I never did before then, but I did, and it took me a while, but here it is, quantum economics. It really, quantum physics and quantum worldview do have very grave paradigm shift for economics. I think this will be welcomed by the economic community. It's a solution of the problems that we are having right now. And it is a road to a steady state economics, which everybody covets, but nobody has been able to formulate until now.
Okay, so let's talk about the problem first, and then we'll get into the solution, or the problem as you see it. But what I wonder is what's going on with our country? It seems like the rich keep getting richer, and the rest of us, we're all kind of struggling to survive. But what's going on?
Yes, a serious book on economics which showed that this is really happening. We are worse off than in the time of Marie Antoinette. You have to go back to that kind of time to find this kind of elitism. I mean, rich is really getting richer compared to the rest of us. This
Because
is
she wanted to eat cake? Was that Marie Antoinette?
yes, let them eat bread, let them eat cake, right? So, so how did we get here? The problem is that currently we are under two worldviews. One is the old religious uh, feudal worldview, and the other is the worldview of modern times. But this worldview started good with a truce between science and spirituality, but more and more became materialistic. Ultimately, materialism declared that no, we don't need the religion, scientific, the spiritual part at all. We are really based on matter alone, human beings, that is. Human beings can be modeled after machines, and that's what we are. We are machines. We are zombies. This approach changed economics into a mathematical economics, which never really has worked, but the pretension is rampant. Academics believe it, businesses believe it, people apply it, and of course for the part which we call microeconomics, for little calculations which enable you to make money on the stock market, for that it does work. But in the macro world, in macroeconomics, the overall trends where ideas are important, that's where this kind of economics completely fail, because human beings are not machines. So if you treat human beings and human beings, can our economics become better? What do we need to do? If you go back to Adam Smith capitalism, what do we need to do? Adam Smith had a wonderful idea. You match gifted people who have ideas about production and people who need to consume. You match the gift and need, you've got something. Adam Smith's idea was, let the selfish nature of humanity prevail. Let the gifted work purely from their selfish interest. Let the needy work purely from their selfish interest to consume. Let the free hands of the market, this is the keyword, free market, that the free market be allowed to be free, then the invisible hands of the free market will do the rest, will make the prices stable, allocate the resources properly in the various sectors of the economy, and so on and so forth. Production and consumption will match and we'll have stable economy. But you know what? This never really happened. We, at that time, we expected that this will be a stable economy, but it never happened. It always had that bust and boom, recession and inflation, followed by inflation. So this was a fundamental shortcoming, and people noticed it. And then, of course, the question came, recession time, people suffer, and question came, complete selfishness. It cannot work because your selfish interest and community interest is not taken into account, only the selfish interest. So this was a major problem also, and people tried from a variety of times, they tried to put the idea that the homo economicus, the individual selfishness, has to come together with homo communis, the community interest that human beings should also have. But Adam Smith's capitalism fails there. So is that the correct answer? We tried to tried to give ideas which would put social good into the equation, and Keynes succeeded to some extent. He suggested the idea that government intervenes during recession time, and government produces the jobs that people will need to keep the economy going at a minimal level. So this is what we have today, and that is called classical economics. Now we say Newtonian physics as classical physics. So what happens when you replace Newtonian physics with quantum physics? You get quantum worldview. It's a different kind of thing. Consciousness comes in, and things change. So my question then is that, well, okay, in the new economics, we have unity consciousnness from the beginning. So homo economicus, the selfish interest is there because individual is still individual, but cosmic consciousness, that we are connected, that idea is also there. Homo communis is there from the beginning. So then, since this part has already been accomplished, can the other parts, namely the problem that you mentioned, elitism, problem of sustainability that is in everybody's mind, and of course the problem that we already have mentioned, the problem of business cycle, this boom and bust, all these problems, can they also be solved? And what I have been able to show in quantum economics, that yes, good news is that we can solve the business cycle problem, boom and bust, we can solve the problem of sustainability, and we can even solve the problem of elitism and poverty.
Well, and it seems like in society, and it hasn't just been recently, I'm going to say for the past 100 to 150 years, that the idea of community, extended families, about the town taking care of each other, has really gone by the wayside, and now it's pretty much everyone fend for themselves.
Yes, yes, we don't know our neighbors anymore. Although the people say 60% of Americans are still believers in God, but we don't see that when we realize that we don't know our neighbors. So truths like love thy neighbor is useless now. We don't even know them. How do we love them? So we cannot take care of our neighbor. We cannot take care of the greater community interest in our business dealings, and this is the basic problem. So I'm not saying that the worldview has changed. All I'm saying is that the worldview has to change, and it is changing very slowly. It's changing. It's not very obvious when you look at the small scale yet, because we still don't know our neighbors. But it is true that there is community interest in community back again. There are communities shaping up, but they are long distance communities connected by interests that people have, mainly connected to the internet. But the idea of community is growing again. And the reason is that people have an overall awareness of this interconnectedness that we call in quantum physics non-locality. Consciousness is non-local, both local through our five senses, but also non-local through this quantum connection that we all share with each other.
Well, and I think as humans, we need to have that connectedness, whether it's with our family or our neighbors or our friends on Facebook, because if we don't have that, it just seems like that's part of being human, is having that connection.
Exactly. And that is what the machine model misses. And when we do that formally and formulate our society, social systems on the basis of materialism, then we completely ignore this connection that we have to have. We live in society. Human beings are social beings. We are ignoring it. We are denying it today, but it is not that way. It is violating our basic humanness. And because it is violating it, we have this lack of ethics that every day some business scandal will come out and it becomes clear that the upper echelon of the business is cheating the ordinary shareholders. This is just rampant, this lack of ethics. And the other thing that is very rampant in the machine model is machines are not creative. We know that. And therefore, machine creativity is fake creativity. So when we rely on fake creativity instead of fundamental creativity, what happens is that there is no real innovation anymore in businesses. And that lack of innovation produces economic doldrum, which is what we see today. It's also the finiteness of resources. When you base your economy on the basis of a finite resource, namely material resources, then sooner or later you'll get finiteness problems. So there is also that. But in addition, lack of innovation produces a major doldrum in economic activity. You just cannot create new economic interest anymore. When was the last time that you heard of an idea that was not created in the 1950s? You have to go back that much in order to find truly innovative idea in materialistic science. What I'm suggesting is that we take into account of our higher needs meaning we have needs of vitality, Who doesn't need more vital energy today? We are low in vitality. Everybody knows that. We are becoming obese as a country. And what is lacking is vitality. We are not satisfied with the food we eat. It lacks vitality. So we need vitality. We need meaning. People are looking for meaning. In addition, the computers and robots are taking over meaningless jobs anyway. So people have to find meaningful jobs, because otherwise we won't have any jobs at all. Jobs are being taken over, not particularly by the um, foreigners, because of all these trade agreements that our politicians criticize. Yes, they're partially to blame, but those jobs are routine jobs anyway. Americans should not be particularly proud to do those things, because we can afford to move on to more meaningful jobs. And so this is actually a good trend, this shifting of jobs overseas, cheaper labor. This is not a bad thing. Outsourcing is not such a bad thing. These trade agreements are not such a bad thing. They have been demonized. What we have to recognize, there is danger in it, but there is also big opportunity to shift gears, like we did before. We have done this many times in America. That is the strength of America, that we can shift gears. And we have to shift gear this time and bring and create new jobs, innovative jobs in the sector that I call the subtle part of the human being. Our vitality, our meaning aspects that mind gives us, and even the value aspects that spirituality gives us. So if we bring in those aspects, the internal aspect, these psychological aspects of the human being, and put them into the economic equation, then solution. That's quantum economics.
All right, I'm making a note here. Okay, you were talking about innovation, and do you think that we have enough stuff? How many new cell phones can you really need, and how many new computers or upgrades on a car? I mean, do you think, and I kind of have an either or, that we are just so saturated in materiality that why make more stuff? Or, and I've seen this, I kind of like my conspiracies sometimes, that there are products that people try to bring to market, like green cars and more green type products, self-sustaining products, that seem like they don't get support or they're shut down. There's kind of, the thought is they're shut down by the big industries, the oil industries and stuff, that don't want these more sustainable products to come to market. What's your thought on that?
Well, you were right. I mean, how many generations of cell phone will people continue to buy, or will generate interest in the economic arena to keep economic activity going? This is a dead end sooner or later. On the other hand, we also have expansion in the economic arena. If the economics works in such a way, population grows and the economy has to expand. So how do you produce an expanding economy with a finite resource? And of course, resources are deployed. That requires energy. Deployment of energy produces pollution, thermal pollution, carbon dioxide, and especially fossil fuels, which is what we depend on. And let's face it, there is not enough sustainable energy to sustain this kind of standard of living if everybody on the planet wants to live with electricity and modern amenities. It just cannot be done. Right now we are doing it barely because there are still a lot of countries which do not have electricity, do not have the amenities that make modern life. And so we get by. But if all these countries, like two big populations, China and India, already are getting modernized, and look at the demand already is just too much. And pollution increases, and if it does, then global climate change is reality. We can deny it, but that doesn't help the climate still keep on changing. We cannot deny that. So this is the problem. The finiteness of resources, finite energy, pollution problem, global climate change. So what do we do? How do we get out of it? Obviously, we have to find alternative to materials. Matter is not the world. The world is consciousness. Consciousness has material experiences, to be sure. It is the most compulsory experience, to be sure. But there are also internal experiences which we also value, which we also need. And as Adam Smith points out, whenever there is a need, there will be gifted people to produce products that will satisfy that need. We have need for vitality. We already have gifted people who produce it, except that, people's awareness does not extend far enough. Not enough people's awareness extend far enough to know that we really have people already who can supply your need of vitality. You go to a Qigong master, master gives you just hands on you or off you, and you'll feel better.
But and I'm just going to come back at you. When you talk health and wellness, my knee-jerk reaction is, well, what's Big Pharma going to say? They can't get you on their prescriptions for life, which means they can't make a lot of money, because if you have a Qigong master work on you, or a Reiki master, or someone who does some kind of alternative health, you maybe take an herb or a supplement that you can grow in your backyard. It breaks down that cycle of production, which I think is great, but I'm going to call big corporate interests, aren't so thrilled with.
No, they aren't so thrilled because, again, ignorance. They don't know that this is the part that is affecting their employees' productivity. So the corporate mindset at the same time have to be worked on. We have work to do. We have not done a very good education for people to be aware that there is a new worldview, first of all, that consciousness is back into science, that people are working on it, and we value every conscious experience, and they are providing us needs that Abraham Maslow talked about 50 years ago. He wrote a paper on hierarchy of needs. Human beings have higher needs. Once they satisfy their lower needs, which we have in America basically, except for the very low level 16%, rest of Americans can truly say that, okay, we are, materially okay. We are doing all right. We have a good house. We live in heated house. We have no problem with dealing with transportation, and we get to eat. We have a reasonable amount of entertainment in the form of television. So people have what they basically need. And then Maslow says that now people will want higher needs, except they don't know what their higher needs are. This is the lack of education. We have to make them
They want a better cell phone, Amit.
So,
maybe Netflix. I don't know.
Well, this is why we are talking, right?
That's right.
Trying to create the higher need by making people aware that look what you're looking at, what you're lacking, and corporations too. Why are their employees relatively ineffective today, unproductive today? Because everybody suffers from the ennui that there is a lack of vitality in people, because they're not getting proper nutrition. Nutrition is not only keeping track of protein, keeping track of how much carbohydrate you are getting and how much fat you are avoiding. That's not nutrition. That's not the end of it. There is also vital energy that nutrition gives. Every physical organ comes along with a vital counterpart, which can be called its blueprint. And this vital counterpart, that movement, is concomitant with the movement of the organ. Every time we use an organ, its vital counterpart is essential part of that functioning. If that part of the functioning lacks, we lack vitality. It's a very simple scientific fact. And this is why, if we don't get the vital part properly fed, if we don't provide it nutrition, what happens is our vitality will be low. And people suffer from low vitality, our productivity goes down, so companies lose. If they have this awareness, we have started under quantum economics, Jim Alvino and I have started an enterprise, quantum economics business training. We are training businesses to be aware that if the vitality of their employees are increased by concerted effort from their human resources division, then productivity will go up and at very little expense. So, bring those Qigong masters, produce those Qigong masters en masse. We have the technology today to produce them en masse and bring them into the corporate arena. Let every corporation have their own in-house Qigong master to give people a vital energy massage whenever they need it, or just simply presence, because even in their presence you feel vitalized. Mm-hmm. And of course, the biggest part of it is not just human resources. I'm talking about human capital, of course, and that's a valuable part of it. That's one of the trends that we have to develop anyway, because robots are going to take over all the routine jobs. So human beings have to become gradually source of higher way of living and source of this vitality that I'm talking about, human capital. Fine, that's one way. But there is the other also.
Can I get you to hold that thought?
Sure, of course.
Because you're talking about empowering the people so that they can have more vital energy, so that they can be more productive at a company. But one of the things that I've seen through my own work experience working in corporate America is that, and it's even more so now, I have not been in corporate America for over 20 years, and it just seems so much worse now, is that they want you to work more, they want to pay you less, and so, as we both know, there's supposed to be this exchange of energy that happens. I give you my time, and you give me back acknowledgement and whatever that you get from your employer. And it seems like their expectation is, I give to you all the time, and yeah, you give me a check, but at what expense? And so as part of this training, are you also working with employers to actually give back to their employees, to nurture them as well?
Well, that's the mindset. That's what the Homo economicus, the selfish human being, has to recognize that I'm also Homo communis. So the worldview will act on that part too. I mean, eventually, the corporate management will also have to recognize that they too are not machines, they too are human beings, and they too live in the community, namely in their corporations as part of the community of the corporation. So this community sense that there is a homo communis of a corporation, that has to come into the picture. And that will, because that's part of the quantum worldview. Once a worldview gets into a society from the base, then everybody is part of that worldview. For example, when we were under the religious worldview, people believed in God. And therefore, there was automatically a certain amount of ethics in the society. Much of capitalism, the reason that Adam Smith's capitalism has worked in spite of his selfishness agenda, is that under Christianity, so long as we had a truce between Christianity and science, so that the Christian values were still followed by businesses, there was no real depth of ethics that we see today. Yes, there were occasionally, of course, shysters among business people, but generally speaking, ethics was admired and ruthlessness was not admired. I mean, there will be a few people, of course, who were ruthless, even under that old system. But generally speaking, ethics was followed much, much more than it is today. So that contributed. And the other thing that contributed is that we did not take it that we are machines. We were humans. We had that spiritual aspect of it. It was acknowledged in the worldview of modernism, and modernism did not mean that it's matter alone. Right now, modernism means matter alone. Modernism is identical with scientific materialism. This is really post-modern thinking. This is not modernism, strictly speaking. And this is not helping. So we have to change our worldview, our outlook at how we look at ourselves. So when you do that, bring this subtle stuff in the economic arena, the best part of it is that the sustainability problem is immediately solved. The subtle vital energies, mental meaning, and spiritual values, they're all infinite oceans of possibility. And so you can just draw from it, and they will never be exhausted. So the finiteness problem and the pollution problem, because however much you use the energy of love, however much you use vital energy, it does not pollute. There's no pollution from it. So that is also great advantage, that there is no pollution of the external environment. Of course, there is a problem of pollution in the internal environment too. So you have to watch it a little bit, because you can pile up bad energies, vital energies. You can pile up bad mental meanings that is harmful to you. So there is that possibility. But when we say production that people would want to consume, we are not thinking of the bad vital energy. Who wants to consume somebody's angry energy? No, we want to consume only peaceful part of the vitality. So that way also there is a safeguard that people automatically, from selfish interest, keep away from negativity and more indulge into positivity.
Thank you for watching this portion of our interview with Amit Goswami. If you're enjoying today's program, please click on the button below and subscribe to our channel. If you want to hear this interview in its entirety, become a Just Energy Radio insider at justenergyradio.com and access full shows commercial-free and gain access to our over 10 years of archives. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy. Be blessed.